let's get cozy in our knitting chair and talk about what I have here. If you are a regular on this channel, you recognize this bright red commercial merino yet handspun yarn. I used this on my vintage John Crawford sweater, and since I at the end didn't have enough yarn, I rage spun way too much. Sounds a bad idea, but for today it is a good idea because this means I have this yarn. I also have this yarn, which is some handspun alpaca, 100% pure, soft, gorgeous, cloudy alpaca. And in the following clips I will show you how I spun this. Now, there might be some sentences in the genre of I want to spin this entire bag of alpaca. I am trying to spin this entire bag of alpaca. Don't listen to that. That is folly. Pastiente doesn't know what she's talking about. It took me a year to get to this point of having 3 skeins of alpaca yarn. Friends, do you get that feeling of just wanting to spin a thing, not having a plan, not knowing where to go, but just wanting to do it? This alpaca has me in a mental lockdown, and my brain shall accomplish nothing until I start spinning it. I have made a sample already, a beautiful chain ply. It's so soft and glorious. So, for this video, I don't know where we're going. I don't know what the plan is, what we'll do with it. I just want to spin, and I'm going to take you along with me. I haven't washed the alpaca, even though alpacas are notoriously dirty animals, like to roll around in sand and stuff. But I'm hoping that most of it will just fall out when combing. Maybe that's wishful thinking and I will end up with very dirty yarn. But got no explanation other than I just want to spin. Here we have a nice little box of alpaca fluffs, which is, I think, the right moment to start spinning because my brain itch was not to comb the alpaca, but to spin it. Now, it is a nice amount. I have gotten approximately through 1/4 of that bag of alpaca fluff, which is nice because I am trying to get through a lot more of my stash from now on until the start of the summer next year, because I've gotten so much fiber, more than I can spin fast enough to keep up. That is in part because I'm mostly making small one-skein projects, except for Tour de Fleece. I want to make bigger projects like this where I just, intend to spin the entire bag of alpaca into one beautiful yarn quantity. Can we for a moment also appreciate the color variation in this fluff, in this fiber? And then I think it's very incredulous or incredible, I cannot believe it, that when I got this alpaca fiber this year, I think I got 3 different alpaca fleeces from 2 different people, and they all said that they normally just throw it away because whenever they try to sell it or even gift it to someone, apparently nobody wants it if it's not white alpaca, which I find hard to believe because myself and other spinners like natural colors. So here is our start on our alpaca spin. It is looking very uniform for such a variegated box of birds' nests. This is all that I can spin today. Hi, I have decided that I'm going to be plying at this point, and because I really love the look of my sample, I'm going to make a chain ply. And now, for those of you who aren't in the know of how dirty of an animal alpacas actually are, just look at my dress. Doesn't matter because I also got some stains on my shirt anyway. Now naturally, of course, my dress didn't get this dusty just from spinning. I filled up my box with some new fluffs. It might be just wishful thinking, but I'm guessing we're now at 1/3 of the bag done with those fluffs combed. But first, we need to get some actual yarn in here before we can say that we have done anything. I've actually really just been trying to carve out little moments of my day. Right now I've got 10 minutes before I have to leave to work, so I get another 10 minutes of spinning. And actually I can't believe how much I can get done by just carving out those little moments. Sometimes 10 minutes is all I need to spin up one of the fluffs, one of the fiber bird's nests. I just skeined another little small skein of this alpaca yarn. It's a small one because I just wanted to empty the bobbin that I had, because I'm going to put my Ashford traditional, my Christine, in storage for a while, as I have another large spinning project coming up right now that's not with her, and I wanted every bit of this yarn to be equally rested so that I don't get weird twisty stuff in the end. I'm not quite sure what the impact of that might have been, but I'm not taking any risks. And well, of course, you guessed correctly, the big spinning project is the extra Zwartblast yarn for my husband. Well, his sweater. This yarn and this yarn, combined with the joy that I had from knitting the Polina sweater as designed by Teti, I was like, maybe let's knit another design from Teti's Knitgarden. And I'm thinking the Bifurca Vest. I feel like this should be enough. I'm not willing to spin more of this. I'm not going to need more of this because I'm going to use this as the contrast color. This, however, I am willing to spin more. I have more prepped. This was a nice spin, natural spin, because you know I love them. So yeah, let's do the thing. Let's knit this thing. I have just cast on and I already have my first gripe with this pattern. You have to do a twisted rib, and the way she describes it in her pattern is knit through back loop. This is entirely discriminating against everyone that knits through the back loop standardly. It's the same gripe that I had with the brioche patterns. Some people knit Eastern uncrossed. I know we're less than 1% of the entire knitting community, but why don't you just knit a twisted rib? Because for me that would be knit through the front loop. Explanation? Put it here. Yes, thank you. We are now at the point where we are starting a color work. First off, I am flipping excited about my yarn and color combination. Just look at it, this is perfect. Yes, but my stitch counts are off. I did something wrong, and right now there are two wolves inside me. The first wolf is like, you want this done quickly. We do not care that the increased lines on our back will look wonky. And there is another wolf in me that says, I do care. I think I'm going to listen to that second wolf and frog and start again. Are you ready to witness heartbreak? Ah! Ah! So when the first wolf in me said that I want to do this quickly, it did not mean that I have a deadline or something, but actually that I am rather a project knitter than a process knitter. I knit things for the end result. I am excited for the end result. But on the other hand, that does not mean that I don't enjoy the active process of knitting. No, no, no. This is why you see me take my knitting everywhere, and you get to go on my vacations, and you also get to witness how knitting keeps me sane when I injure myself and then have to come back home from vacation. Are you a process or a project knitter? Let me know. As of now, the main panel, the central panel, is finished. And somehow the natural color changes that is in my alpaca yarn comes at the exact right points, like here over on the stem of my leaves. And then there is one row of pearl, and coincidentally it's also like a lighter shade of the alpaca. And then it gets darker again until we have to do a little bit color work, and then it's lighter again. I mean, how coincidental is this? It's awesome. It's awesome. This is going to look awesome. However, not as awesome as it actually could have been if I followed what the designer asked me to do. Yes, new glasses, thank you. Like, the pattern was clever enough to have you shift the beginning of your row to include the entire motif over here. But I was not clever enough to follow that, so now I have like a jogged motif. But you know, what the back of me looks like is actually none of my problems, so I'm just going to keep it as is and continue knitting. Hi. So, I finished the central panel, and now the designer has me put like literally every stitch of this pattern on hold and on separate spare yarn. My Paulina sweater turned out fantastic, so I'm going to trust the designer that she knows what she's doing. Of course. But now it's time to do some fitting, sorta, I guess. Okay. It's probably a little bit wide shoulder-wise, but that was kind of to be expected because I have smaller than average shoulders, and I wasn't going to make the smallest size because, well, I did listen to you guys and go with like the upper bust measurement, and size number 1 was never going to fit my upper bust measurement, but size 2 did. But that, well, yeah, you see, my shoulder and my bust, I wish they worked better together, but they don't. So I mean, it's not going to have sleeves or something, so I guess we will live with slightly oversized shoulders on this vest. But now the designer wants us to pin where we want the arm side to end, and then continue from there, and well, I guess we shall continue from there. So I just knit the underarm portions for both the front and back right side. And now I have to graft them close with like a Kitchener stitch. But how I managed to get my needles in some kind of weird Mobius loop construction. Yeah, I'll figure it out in a sec or something. Isn't this just typical me behavior? So as the prophecies have foretold, I have run out of yarn. This is the only bit of alpaca yarn that I still have. Yeah, so I still have some of these combed floofs. Let's make some quick work out of this. Quick work was made of it. Let's wet set this skein in water and soap, because when I combed the alpaca, it was actually not washed, and next to the creation of the universe, that was a terrible decision and it made a lot of people angry. It also made my wheel very dusty. So let's treat this as a case of why you should wash alpaca. They are dirty animals who like to roll around in sand. So yeah, this is the resulting water. The extra yarn I spun is done, and at this point I'm like 7 rows and maybe approximately a centimeter away from the end of the pattern. So before we rush to make new yarn, let's just check whether this doesn't just fit me the way I want. Screw those 7 extra rows. I'm just going to finish this, weave in the ends, and then I will see you at a grand reveal. Here we go, we made a vest-sized dent in my fiber stash. That is not as much as I thought in the beginning when I started picking out the fluff that I would make, but, well, eventually it's the result that I wanted, even though I didn't know it at the beginning. Sometimes projects go like that. Sometimes you just pivot in the middle of it and do something completely else. I still have all that fluff to spin, and maybe that will be a couple more vests worth of alpaca, because alpaca is a nice fiber. I knew this, of course, but now that I have it on my body, dang it, it is a nice fiber. However, I might want to blend it with some wool in the future, just to experience that as well, you know. Now, for the knitting, quite happy with it. It didn't need the extra 7 rows. It fits me snugly on the waist, but as you can see, the shoulders are a bit wide, but that was to be expected, as I have smaller shoulders than average. Does it look weird and out of place, maybe with these short sleeves a little bit, but it's not like I listened to fashion commandments anyway. Personally, I thought it was a very interesting and engaging knit. It has a very interesting construction wherein you first make the yoke, this, well, rectangular yoke, and then go to the side, graft it close, make your armholes, and then make the band. It's very modular. Yeah, I think it was just interesting. That's the word I would put on this pattern. It was an interesting knit. It never bored me on any given moment. I feel cute and princessy in it, and that is always a good thing, right? Yeah, I literally cannot stop petting myself because the alpaca fiber is so nice and so soft. It even makes me kind of speechless. I don't know what else to say about this project. Maybe just tell me down in the comments if you are a process or a project knitter, because being a mostly project knitter, I'm so elated that I have this now and that I made this entirely from scratch. Now I can show this project to the world and be like, hee, I made this finished object, which I shall now wear for eternity, all from scratch. The materials did not exist a year ago, or well, yeah, it was on the body of an alpaca, and now it is on my body. That makes me super happy. Anyway, that's it for now. If you like these kind of fiber shenanigans, then maybe you could like, comment or subscribe. But of course, that is all up to you. And as for me, I will see you in a next video. But before we do that, maybe here are some more knitting videos. Bye!